So in this class, we're going to be learning how to create this walk cycle animation and how to be able to make it to walk across the screen. So that's basically the thing we're going to be learning in this particular class. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to a blank scene. There's one here. So this is the last thing we did in the last class. So we're able to parent this and make it work the way we want it. So right now I'm going to just, if you look at this thing that is here, make sure that this thing, they're not together. Once they are together, your animation will not be able to play. The animation plays only between here. So just click on it, drag it a bit far because you just want to make it a bit longer. So now I'm going to scale this up. I want to be able to do a what we call the walk cycle, and I want it to actually happen in 20 frames. So I have from frame 1 to frame 20 so that my animation can go this way. So the first thing I'm going to do, I will make sure that my rig is actually the parenting is actually okay. All right, so once I'm sure of that, now the next thing I need to do is to now use a proper rig. Now you can be able to animate this character using this particular technique. Let's say for example you want to just directly animate this. You can actually use your animate tool and begin to select things like your shoulder, and then you can be able to use your rotation and be able to animate it. So but you always have to keep going to each of them. You have to switch to this one and then rotate. You see that you have to do a lot of things. So to make it easy for you, there is a feature called the skeleton tool. So the skeleton tool, once you have done your normal parenting for your character, if you click on your skeleton tool, it's going to add a skeleton uh, to your character. So it makes it easy for you to be able to animate anything you're animating. Very, very easy. So all you need to do is just once you're in that particular scene, okay, you can just select any part of it. You don't really have to select any one. Just go over here. If I like clicking on the body before I do that, so you come in here and click on the bone, and automatically it just gives you the skeleton. All right, so this thing that looks like a bone. So this skeleton now, you will have to do a lot of practice to master how it works. So just take out time to practice it. So whenever you're working here, make sure that everything is working fine. If this thing begins to malfunction, always go over to your animation, because sometimes if you look at this parenting, sometimes you might click on something and it will go back to the body or to the table and become parented there, and you find it that you're not controlling it again. So in case you have issues and you see your body moving in a way you don't understand, always go over there to check the state it is in, if it's still connected to the main thing it's meant to connect to be connected to. So now let's see. So the first thing, let me just show you. If you select this, let's say I click here, I can be able to drag this. All right, so now we have, let me start from here. Normally you have the build tool. Once you start, it's going to be in the build tool. All right, so once you see it, it shows you just a skeleton that is going around the entire body, but we are not really interested in that. What we are so much interested in is in animating with it. So I'm going to go to animate, and if you look at animate, animate will enable you to be able to, let's say for example, if I'm here, I can move this. If I want to move it, I can actually drag it and move it. I don't want that. If you use this one, you can rotate it this way. You see, because this is parented, but we want to make it more dynamic, something easier to work with. So we have three states. So we'll have the build, the animate, and then the animate is when you can animate, depend on the kind of thing you're actually working on. So I want to use the inverse kinematics. So if I click on inverse kinematics, now what it does is that it gives you more control. Let's say for example, I select something like this, or I select this one. If you look at what is happening, I can be able to select the entire hand and move it. So the way to move this is, if you just click over here, if you look at, I have this thing that looks like a curved arrow. If I click on it and drag, so if I drag it, see what it's doing. If you want to do the hand, you can also do the hand too. So let's do it this way. So you have to be careful when you're doing this, because sometimes if you look at what he's doing now, it's actually turning the hand in a way I don't understand. So you can do it from here to the same thing here. If you, but this one is for the entire body. So it's, if you, actually want to rotate the body, you will have to actually make the body to be in sections, like in different parts. Okay, so you can have the stomach, the chest, and then the neck. So if you look at the neck, you can be able to, if you want to select the neck, watch. I have to come close to this part. If it's not selecting, just click on this part here. Let's see if it's selecting. So sometimes it's quite difficult to select. You have to make sure you select everything properly. Worst case scenario, you just go down. Let me come up here and select here. I think my distance is in the body, so I'm going to go over to my shoulder right, so you can be able to do that. Let's go down to our shoulder left, and you should be able to rotate the shoulder left now. So now look at the interesting part. Now if I'm rotating this, everything is going together. If I go down to this one here, I can be able to rotate this like this. So that's what it does. So as you're rotating the hand, the shoulder is also being controlled with it too. So uh, that's just all you need to do. So I'm just going to just align properly. You can just go back. So once we are actually animating, I would like to animate using this inverse kinematics. Even when we do it in 3D, we usually use inverse kinematics. It's easier to work with than using the normal thing. Now let's talk about the work cycle. So before we talk about the work cycle, I'm going to have to expand this thing because it's actually just one frame that I have. So I will select everything. In fact, I'm going to click here, go down and hold shift and select all of this. And let me look for my this thing is not even coming out. Let me do it from here. Click, drag. Let me see if I can select like this. So be careful when you're dragging this. Sometimes you actually move out the cell, so you have to do it from one of the sides there. So I need to select everything here and then use this one and drag it. So I want it to stop at frame 20 because I want my animation to actually, So now look at what's happening here. If you look at what is happening now, my hand just vanished. All right. So look at where it is now. So to correct that, I'll have to go to my animate tool and go and pick this guy and bring it back to where it was before. So whenever any of them does any funny thing you don't understand, just use the animate tool. Don't use the inverse kinematic. If you use the inverse kinematics, it will just move the entire body. But the animate tool will just animate. So, but make sure you do everything you're doing right in this. Correct any issue you have in this frame one, at least for a start. So now let's talk about the work cycle. So in the work cycle, it's just more like creating a sort of cycle of works that you can be able to use and replicate it later. So you won't have to keep, making the character, the left foot forward and then the right foot forward. You just keep doing it again and again. It will be difficult. So you need to actually do it once and then you reuse it again and again. So all you need to do is just to do 20, more like 20 frames. Some people do 30 frames, but 20 frames is actually very good. So you just do your cycle. So you need to do the first work cycle. So let's say, for example, I'm going to start from here and we're going to do what we call the key pulls. The key pulls is the, let's say, for example, we can start with the leg forward, the left leg forward. And it means that it will be a counter. All right. So if the left leg is forward, that means the right hand should be forward. And let me just show you what I mean. So let's say, for example, I come to, let's select this, change this to an inverse kinematics. Make sure you're doing everything you're doing in inverse kinematics. So you can just click here and you have this now. So let me just select in here to activate this part. So let's say I move this to the front. This is the left hand, meaning that the right leg will not be what would be in the front. Now it looks funny, don't worry about it. You actually see what I'm doing later. So you can be able to just rotate this way. Now one of the things I like doing is if you actually look at the floor of where you're walking, you have to actually pay attention to it so that you don't let me just do it this way. Let me see if I can be able to get the entire body and bring them down. Use my animates and bring the entire body down like this. Sometimes this could actually affect certain things. So what I'm doing that I want to use this floor as my base floor, so I will actually know when my leg is actually touching the floor and when it's not. Then also select this one. You see that this one is out of alignment. You just bring it back to the place it's supposed to be. So now I will come over here and select this and change it back to inverse kinematics. And now I can be able to move this like this and move this one back. Now it's not going to be showing you exactly what you want to see, but we're coming back to that one later. So I'm going to go over to this one and see how I clicked on it. So don't click here, you can click directly here and it will select. Sometimes you have to click over there. So depending on the things that you see, this one is overlapping it, so sometimes it's going to misbehave. So I'm going to just do this. So if you look at what is happening now, I'm having this leg going this way now, and I have this going this way. Let me try and bring it down, and this one, try to bring this one down. I have to go closer and select this. Okay, so we'll have this. So this is what we'll call the key poses, all right? So we'll have the key poses, which is actually the right leg forward. That means the left hand is this forward, and that means this one is going to go backwards. So now look at what's happening here now. Whenever this happens, look at this. Means that something is wrong. Like I told you, this could happen. Look at that. This has actually gone out of alignment. So you have to, you see, it went back to the table. So sometimes it just does that. I think probably is a bug or something. So you plug it back and just make sure you go back to your Animate tool and bring it back to where it's supposed to be. You can go back to inverse kinematics and it will be complete now. So go back to your drawing. I like using the drawing. So I'm going to just drag this and then put this one like that. So you have something like that looks like this. So just make sure that it's as flat as possible over here, because it will help you later. So also for the head, I'm not going to do the head yet. So I'm just going to leave that for now. So this is the first keyframe. So all these you are seeing now are the frames telling you where these guys are at this point. Now say, okay, what about in the next in frame 10? So to get frame 10, look at this, frame 12. That means back 11 and this is 10. So I needed to do the counter pose. So the counter pose is if the right leg is forward, and that means the left leg has to be the one that comes next. So I'm going to go back. So this is what we'll call the counter pose. Now there is a problem here. Let me say, okay, I think this is actually corrected already. So in case you're designing, I think I added a circle here to actually balance this so that it doesn't really like have an opening at the center here. It was looking somehow not so good. So you can be able to put this here. Now if you look at here, the leg is not more touching the floor. Don't worry yourself about that. So I can just do this way. All right, so we'll have this. Then this one goes to the back. Before I even do that, let me just bring this one to the front this way like this. And then this one goes to the back. Select this guy, goes to the back like this. Go closer. So now if this thing becomes difficult for you to select, just go to the body and just turn it off from here so that it's easy for you to select your characters. That's your different parts of the body, so you can select it now. So something like this. Now it looks funny, but it's gonna work. So we'll have something like this. So now if you actually go back, this is what you're gonna see. So now you need to one of the features I've not found is how to be able to duplicate poses, because you need to actually duplicate exactly what's there over here. But we're going to try to repeat it, or trying to duplicate these things was not possible. Probably they don't have the feature yet, so I have to actually manually do it myself. So I have to turn off the body again, and over here now I'm going to, let me just go here. I'm going to make sure that I bring this to the front here and take this one back to the back again. This one goes to the back while this one comes to the front like that. Like that. Okay. So you have this like that. So you check whether they are actually okay. You see here now, I think I need to also make this one to be a bit up like that. Let's see. Let's bring back the body and let's try and play this. Let's use our loop to actually see how it is. I think it's okay. So if there is any movement, if you look at here, there is some kind of movement there. You have to, if there is no an irregularity there, you can just go over here to check it, and then you see. I think it's almost the same thing. So you just check. I think this one has to go a bit more backwards to synchronize with the last one. So if it begins to bounce like this, it means, but when we start animating it, you're not really going to see the difference. So that's just the basic stuff that you need to do. So now after the key pose, these are the key poses. This 1, 2, and you repeat it. You repeat the first one you did should be the last, so that once you finish it just continues. That's how the loop is created. That's the work cycle. Now we need to do one more thing, and that is to do what we call the passing pose. So the passing pose is, like I told you, these are the key poses. Okay, the key poses. So this one is the counter pose of that key pose. It's counteracting it. So here we'll have in the center, the 5th frame, because this is 10, this is the 5th frame, we'll have what we'll call the passing pose. The passing pose, when your leg is actually passing, so let me just show you what I mean. If you actually come in here, it's going to, like, this is the left leg at the back. That means by 5th frame, somewhere in the center, this left leg is actually going to be somehow cut in this way. So just like when you're walking in real life, your leg is actually coming in from here, and then before it goes in, you actually see that it gives you more distance. And then we can be able to straighten this one. This leg should be a bit straight, more like this. So if you actually go back and you see something like this, it gives you a more realistic movement like that. Then let's work on the hand. You can actually leave the hand, but I always like just adjusting the hand just a bit more like this, just a bit. So this is okay, like that. Then you do the same thing for the next one. You go to frame 15. So this is 18, 17, 16, 15 at the center there. So 15 will not be, let me just go over here. I think something will actually happen here. So we'll have this happening here. So we might need to bring this back because of the rotation. Yep. Like that. Okay. Okay, let me just finish this up. So I have this. This is coming back from here. Let me make sure that this is working fine. From here, it goes to this place. Okay, so this is not, this is meant to be this way, like that. So we'll now go over to this one. So by this time, this one is what is actually coming from the back. The one is at the back is the right leg now. So we'll just check for the right leg. By frame 15, let me be sure, 17, 18, 19, 17, 16, 15 here. This one is the one coming from the back, so that means that it's going to be bending this way, the right leg. And this one is the one from the front, so it's going to, so the leg that is coming from the back is the one that will be bending. The one that is coming from the front will be straight. So like this, it's coming from the back, so it's bending, and then it comes in, and then it goes this way. So you have this, and then you can now complete it like this. So the reason why it's doing this is because you have to animate everything here for it to actually be able to. In fact, one of the best thing you can do is just select all of them and make sure that they're actually animated. You can actually begin to click here if you need to. So we'll have this, it goes in. Okay, we'll have this, and then this comes up. So over here too, we're also going to straighten this hand a bit more. So I'm just trying to make all the parts of the body to be able to be animated. So look at here, we'll have this So if you look at here, this is the right leg in the front, and then the right leg in the front too. So let's look at how far both of them are going. I think I like this last movement here. Let me use this one. Something like this. All right, so if you play this, let's see. This is what you're going to be seeing. Now the next thing you want to do is the head. We need the head to be a bit we don't like the way it's just static in one place, so we'll just select it and just let's select this head. So don't do it too much so that it doesn't display some flaws there. So we'll have something like this, and then by the time it's in 10, we want the head to be in the front this way, and then by the time it's over here, we want it to be back to this place. So if you actually play, you actually see the character will begin to, walk in a more interesting manner. And that's how to create a very simple walk cycle. So you can be able to actually work with that. I think this is actually okay. So the next thing we want to now do is, how do we make this guy walk across the screen? So to do that, you need to, make sure you have saved everything. And let me just scroll back and make sure that everything is okay. It's trying to save. Remove this onion skin. So we'll just check it very well, and passing pose, and then here I think I need to adjust this one to make it a bit to be somewhere like this. So we'll have something like this, and then passing pose again, so we'll have that. So once you're sure that your animation is working fine, now let's go bring it into a scene. So anything you want, you can be able to use. So I'm going to be creating a new scene now. So go to File and create a new scene. So this new scene, I can actually go ahead to create something here. Let me just click on a new vector layer, and I can just add something. Let's say, for example, I can add anything at the back. Let's say I add a rectangle that is let's say a blue color. So we'll have something that looks like this. So we'll have this, and then we're going to add another color that is let's say a dark green floor. So this is the floor. You can just put a dark green floor like that, and I would like it to be a bit darker like that. So this would be where the person will actually be walking through. So over here now, we can just, to bring in that character, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to be using this load as sub X sheet. That's what you're going to be using. Okay, so we're going to click on that, and I think that should be character animation, this one here, and we're going to be loading it. And it's telling me that you want to import and load this original. I'll say yes, import it. So it's going to import it as a scene on its own. Look at that at the top here. He has imported it. So if you actually go now, you see, let's select this our layer and just drag it. So let's say, for example, we can drag the cell to, let's say, till, let's say 100. Let's start at 100. So 100 is about 4 seconds. So you can be able to actually do this. So but if you see, once it reaches here, it ends. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this guy is in the right position. So we need to enter into our Animate tool and go to our scale first and scale it down. Sorry, we need to select the column, that's this character. We can actually name it as character. and we can be able to scale it down like that. So let's scale it down. Okay, so we'll have this, and we can use the position to position this character somewhere there. So I would like it to be somewhere there. Yep, I think this is okay. And then I'm going to now use it. So if you look at here, it's going this way. I think I need to make it a bit smaller. So if you actually render this animation, it's going to look quite very huge, except you are working with your camera. So we'll have this, you know. So for you to be able to make this guy to be able to move across this, so you can be able to just come in here, select all of this, just click like this. Let me click from here, just click, make sure you're just selecting one of the frames, drag over this like this, and you can press Ctrl C to copy all of these frames. So all these frames represents that whole animation. So I'm going to go to the next frame here, Ctrl V to paste it. So you do your Ctrl V to paste it, and once you actually paste it, you can actually go on to do more. So you can just keep going, select next one, Ctrl V, next one, Ctrl V, for as long as you want the animation to last. So you can just do that. So you're just copying the same animation. So if you look at now, the animation just plays all through. Look at that. Now, the most interesting part now that we need to do is let's make it walk across the scene. So to make it walk across the scene, you go to Animate to make sure you're in position. So position it where you want it to be. If you want to make it smaller, you can go ahead to make it smaller. Now we can then go to our frame 100. Let's go to frame 100, the last frame that we actually have here. And then we can just hold this and drag it, hold shift so that it locks it on a particular axis. Let's go back, please. Lock it on a particular axis, and we can just move this. If I'm going to move it out of this screen, you can turn on your camera view so that it's going to be showing what you had seen. So if you come back and you play animation, you actually see your character walk across the scene. And this is for replaying. Okay, so you can replay it always, and it just keeps on replaying that. So different kind of actions that you want to do. If you want something to work, you want something to do different things, and you want to redo it, you use this. Even if you want to do some kind of action, except if it's something that is continuous, all right, that's when you can do everything with that initial scene that we already had before. But if you want to do a walk cycle like this, where something is going to keep on doing again and again, you can simply just create it as a subsheet, okay, that you can be able to import into another scene and then have more control over it. So that's basically how to be able to create a simple walk cycle and make the car to be able to move across the scene.